Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Last year I did a 12 days of Christmas cookies, so I thought I would put all of those videos together and share that with you guys. I thought it would be fun to have them all in one video so you can go through and watch them all. So I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to Living in the Mom Lane, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Mandy. I am going to be bringing you 12 days of Christmas cookies. These videos are also in collaboration with Melissa from Melissa's Kitchen Table, so definitely make sure you check her channel out. I will have her link down in the description.
Hey guys, to kick off our 12 days of Christmas cookies, our first cookie is going to be Reese's peanut butter cookies. You're going to need some miniature cupcake liners, and normally I use the Christmas decorative kind, but I don't have any right now, and I wasn't going to buy any just yet because I'm going to be making these again when it's a little bit closer to Christmas, because this is what Santa likes in our house. He really loves these cookies. So you're going to need a bag of Reese cups, miniature Reese cups that is, a bag of peanut butter cookie mix, and I prefer the Betty Crocker brand. You'll also need the ingredients that is on the back of the cookie mix bag, which is 3 tablespoons of oil, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of water. I'm going to be using my Pampered Chef mixing bowl, and I'm not sure where this muffin pan came from, but you do need a miniature size muffin pan. So to start out, you're going to need to preheat your oven to 350 degrees if you're using a non-stick or a dark colored pan. You're going to follow the directions on the cookie mix bag or box, whatever you're using. Basically with this one, it is super simple. You just mix everything in the bowl, mix it all up until everything is well combined. Now you're going to line that muffin pan with those miniature cupcake liners. This is a step that I always had my kids do, but both of my girls are in school right now, so I had to do it all on my own. Next, you're going to take just about this size of cookie dough, and you're going to roll it into the palm of your hands, making a little ball, and place each ball into the cupcake liners. The next step is something else that I always had the girls do, and they absolutely loved it. I would have them unwrap all of the Reese cups, but like I said, they're not here. So what you're going to do is place that Reese cup on top of that ball, use your first 2 fingers and very gently push that down into the cookie dough, and there you have it. This is something else that you could let your children do with you. They really enjoy doing this as well. Sometimes we would have bites taken out of our Reese cups before we would put them into the peanut butter cookie. Now it's time to pop these cuties into the oven. And for these, it took about 8 to 9 minutes, but I just suggest you keep an eye on them and wait until they're nice and golden brown on top. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to check out Melissa's video and see what kind of cookies she is making. And like I said before, these are Santa's favorites, at least in our house they are. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Tap on the bell so that you don't miss more cookie recipes and other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Today we're making Oreo ball cookies. You're going to need 1 tray of Candy Quick, 1 8-ounce cream cheese, 1 package of Oreo Mega Stuffed Cookies, cupcake liners, and holiday sprinkles. So what you're first going to do is place all of your cookies into a food processor and crush them up until they are very fine and powdery. If you don't have a food processor, you could put them in a large Ziploc bag and manually crush them. That way, you just want to make sure you don't have any big chunks of cookies in the mix. Once the Oreos are crushed up, you're going to put them in a medium-sized mixing bowl. And I like to just kind of spoon them around, mix it up a little bit, double checking for big chunks of cookies because you don't want that. Next, you're going to place your cream cheese into a microwave-safe bowl, and you want to pop it in the microwave just a few seconds to soften the cream cheese really well. Once the cream cheese is softened, you're then going to put that into the Oreo mixture and mix it up really well. You want to make sure you don't have any clumps of the cream cheese in the cookies. Sometimes it's easier just to get in there with your hands and mix it up really well. So this is about the size that you want. You're going to get a little bit in your hand, in the palm of your hand, and roll it up into a ball. It's not the prettiest thing, but these are delicious. You're going to place all of the balls onto a cookie sheet, and then you're going to put them in the freezer just so that they can firm up a little bit, because you're going to be dipping these into that Candy Quick. These are wonderful to use. All you do is put it in the microwave for 60 seconds, mix it up a little bit, and then do about another 15 seconds to get it really good and smooth. I have used regular white chocolate chips for this, but it is a little bit harder because then you have to add oil and it just doesn't melt as good as this Candy Quick does, and it's easy because it's in a tray. Now that the cookies have firmed up a little bit, you're going to dip them into the Candy Quick tray, making sure that the entire ball is covered. And I have a little helper here sprinkling on some holiday sprinkles. You want to do this on top of parchment paper because it does harden and they will stick to glass if you try to do it onto a glass tray. Once the Oreo balls have hardened, you then want to put them in your cupcake liners, and that's mini cupcake liners that I'm using. You don't have to do that. You could then put them on a glass platter or whatever it is you want to use, but I thought it would just be a little bit cuter to have them in the Christmas cupcake liners. And you do have to store these in the refrigerator. Today we are making some keto approved cookies. We are making brown sugar shortbread cookies, and this recipe came from the Swerve website. What you're going to need is 1 3/4 cups of almond flour, 1/4 cup of coconut flour, 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which I have the xanthan gum in there as well, 1/2 cup of unsalted butter softened, 2/3 cup of Swerve brown, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and grated nutmeg or holiday sprinkles for decorating. And I will have the link posted down in the description for this recipe if you guys want to give it a try. You first want to whisk together the almond flour, coconut flour, xanthan gum, and the salt in a medium-sized bowl. Next, in a large bowl, you want to beat together the butter, Swerve brown until lightened and fluffy, about 1 minute, and then you're going to beat in the vanilla extract and then beat in the almond flour mixture until the dough comes together. Next, you're going to gather the dough together and then pat it into a circle and put it on a piece of parchment paper, and then place another piece of parchment paper on top and roll it out to about 1/4 inch thick, and you want to refrigerate it for 20 minutes. While it's in the refrigerator, you want to preheat the oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper, or you can use a silicone liner. After it's been in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, it's time to cut the cookies. You can use small 2-inch cookie cutters to cut out the desired shapes, and then you're going to place that onto your baking sheet with the parchment paper on top of the baking sheet. Then you can re-roll the dough to cut out some more shapes, and if it becomes too soft to work with, just simply refrigerate it. Now it's time to decorate the cookies. I let the girls do the decorating. I did do a couple of them, and we tried using some little eyeballs for the snowman and the gingerbread guy, but after they baked, they kind of melted, so they looked a little funny. But here are the cookies in the end. Aren't they cute? Hey guys, welcome back to day 4 of 12 days of Christmas cookies. Are you guys enjoying the cookie recipes? I hope so, because I am having a blast making them. Today's recipe is fruit pizza. What you're going to need is a package of sugar cookie dough. You can either use this kind here or like a roll of dough, 1 ounce cream cheese, kiwi, strawberries, and a 16-ounce jar of marshmallow fluff. And for the kiwi, I have 5, but I ended up only using 3 of them. And I did cut up a little too many strawberries. You're also going to need a piece of parchment paper just to cover your pan, or if you have a really good non-stick pan, you can use that as well. I just decided to have easy cleanup, so I'm using a piece of parchment paper. So the first thing you're going to do is bake the cookies, and just go by the package directions. I'm going to do mine at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for, I believe it took about 14 minutes for mine. While the cookies are baking, you're going to soften your cream cheese a little bit in the microwave, which I've already done, and then you're going to mix in your marshmallow fluff. If you have never worked with marshmallow fluff, it is very, very sticky. I suggest using a hand mixer, or if you have a fancy countertop KitchenAid mixer, go ahead and use that. You can do it manually, but it's going to take a little extra time and a little extra elbow grease to get it all mixed up really well, because I'm telling you that marshmallow fluff is really sticky. So here I'm just showing you what a creamy texture it is now. It's no longer sticky like it was. Once that's mixed, go ahead and put that to the side, because now it's time to cut up your fruit. And you can use whatever kind of fruit you want to. I'm just choosing the strawberries and kiwi to keep it with the Christmas colors, the red and green. So what I'm using to cut my strawberries is actually an egg slicer from Pampered Chef. I have done this for years, slicing my strawberries using the egg slicer. Occasionally I'll have a strawberry that is a little bit too big or too firm, so I'll have to cut it in half and then slice it with the slicer. And I'm going to see if I can find this on Amazon. If I can, I will link it in my Amazon store. Be sure to check that out. I always have it linked down below in the description. I did end up cutting up too many strawberries, but if your house is anything like my house, they will definitely not go to waste. Now I'm going to go ahead and slice my kiwi. This one, I ordered it through the Walmart grocery pickup, so I would not have picked out these kiwi. These were very hard and very sour. But the cookies still taste pretty good according to the kids. I did go ahead and cut these up in smaller pieces. Once I started decorating the cookies, I cut them up in smaller pieces. I thought I could do some cute little designs, but the cookies were just too small for that. Once your cookies are done, you want to put them on a wire cooling rack, and you want to make sure that they cool completely before continuing to the next step. And you guys, look at this cookie. When I was taking it out of the oven, my thumb, or the oven mitt, mashed down into it. Have you guys ever done that? I love this double stand cooling racks. It is so nice because you don't have to take up more countertop space. I'm going to look on Amazon for this as well and see if I can find them. I'm not sure where I got these. Actually, I think they were my dad's, and when he passed away and we were cleaning out his house, I took these. So I think that's where these came from. But I'm going to look on Amazon and see if I can find them, and if I do, I will link them in the Amazon store, and you guys can check that out. Now it's time for the fun part. My cookies have cooled down. So what you're going to do now is take that cream cheese marshmallow fluff mixture and rub a little bit on top of the cookie, just spreading it out evenly. And then you're just simply going to put your kiwi and strawberries on there. If you want to get fancy and do some kind of design, then you can do it that way, or just put it on there and make it look like pizza. That's what we're going for, is actually to make it look like pizza. And like I said, you can use any kind of fruit. Whenever I make these throughout the year, I always use grapes, pineapples, bananas, blueberries, whatever kind of fruit you like. Go have fun with it. And sometimes I actually do the tube cookie dough and I roll it out into one big huge cookie, and I cook it on, or bake it on, a pizza pan. And then I decorate the whole thing and I cut it in triangular pieces just like a pizza. Welcome back to day 5 of the 12 days of Christmas cookies. Today we're making candy cane peppermint kiss cookies. You're going to need 1 cup of butter softened, 1 teaspoon of peppermint extract. If you don't have peppermint extract and you use Young Living essential oils or doTERRA, you can actually use peppermint oil. Just a drop would probably be plenty, maybe 2 drops. You're also going to need 10 peppermint candies, and you're going to want to crush these, 2 cups of flour, half a cup of sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which I have it here in the bowl right there. And then you'll need another half a cup of sugar for rolling the cookies in. And then you're also going to need 1 package of candy cane Hershey Kisses. Make sure it's the candy cane, the ones with the red and white stripes. Okay, so don't laugh at what I'm using to crush up these peppermints. This was the closest thing I had that was hard that I could crush with. So the first thing you're going to do is cream together the butter and the peppermint extract, which I kind of got ahead of myself, and I added in the crushed peppermint candies before I put in the peppermint extract, but it still turned out fine. I'm just going to go ahead and mix this all together with a hand mixer. And if you have a stand-up mixer, you probably could use it, but I think a hand mixer worked just fine. Next, you're going to add in the flour, half a cup of sugar and salt, and then stir it well. And again, I'm going to go ahead and use the hand mixer just to make sure I have it mixed up really good. After you get this all mixed up, you're going to then chill it in the refrigerator for 30 to 60 minutes. I think I ended up doing mine for about 60 minutes. I love making things from scratch, but sometimes we just don't have time for that. So if you're pressed for time, but you still want to make these cookies, go ahead and get a roll of Pillsbury Doughboy peppermint cookies. I'm going to insert a picture here. Look for this in the grocery store, and you're going to use it just like you do the cookie dough. Go ahead and put your peppermint extract in and put your crushed up candies in, and then chill it. For some reason, I lost the clip of me rolling up all those other cookie balls there. So what you're going to do is roll them into 1-inch balls. And then you take that ball and you roll that in the sugar, the extra half a cup of sugar. You roll that ball into that sugar, and then you're going to pop them in the oven, bake them at 350 degrees for about 12 minutes. As soon as you pull the cookies out, you want to press in a Hershey Kiss in the middle of each cookie. And you're going to let it cool down for several minutes on the pan before you remove it to cooling racks. So right here, I'm just opening up all of the little Hershey Kisses and getting it ready to go for whenever the cookies come out of the oven. Look how cute these turned out. This was my first time making these. They turned out so cute, and they were delicious. Isabella was very happy that I made these while she was at school. Hey guys, welcome back to day 6 of 12 Days of Christmas Cookies. Today we are making preacher cookies. What you're going to need is 3 cups of quick cooking oats, uncooked, 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of peanut butter, 1 stick plus 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter divided, half a cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and half a cup of chocolate chips. And I have the tablespoon of butter in the chocolate chips because you're going to be melting that together. So you first want to melt your butter in a saucepan on medium-high heat, and you want to stir it frequently so that the butter melts. And then after it's melted, you're going to bring it to a boil for about 1 minute and then remove it from the heat. And you're going to add in the peanut butter and vanilla extract and stir it to combine really well. So the way these cookies got their name of preacher cookies, long time ago, the story goes from way back when that a housewife would look outside and see the local preacher riding out on a horse, and not wanting to welcome the preacher into the family home without putting out something to eat, a housewife might whip up a batch of these simple no-bake cookies that would be set and ready before the preacher knocked on the door. So it is called preacher cookies. So the peanut butter is going to get really nice and creamy. You just have to keep stirring that. Once it's all stirred and mixed up good together, you're going to pour that peanut butter mixture over the oats and then add your milk and your sugar and then stir it really well until it's completely mixed together. I will leave the link for this recipe down in the description. And if I haven't said it already, I will also have a link for this playlist, 12 Days of Christmas Cookies, down in the description in case you missed any of them or you just want to go back and watch them all the way through starting with day 1. So I'm going to use my Pampered Chef cookie scoop, and I'm just going to scoop out a little bit onto my lined pan. You don't have to put it on a pan, but I'm going to be transferring these to the freezer so that they'll set up a little bit quicker. So I'm going to go ahead and put them on a cookie pan. When you scoop it out and you put it on your pan, you want to just kind of smash it down to where it's a little bit flat and round like a cookie. After I had made a couple of these round, I thought, you know what, I really want to keep it festive. So I got out the cookie cutters and I filled it up with some of the mixture, and then I just formed it into the cookie cutters, and they turned out so cute. have no idea why this snowman cookie cutter has the space open like its legs or something. I have no idea why it's like that. So after I remove the cookie cutter, I go ahead and squish the bottom to where it's like a snowball at the bottom. I don't have a Christmas tree cookie cutter, so I'm just making one myself. It was really easy to do. Just form it into a triangle and then put a square on the bottom, or a rectangle. Now that I have them all formed into the shapes that I want, you're going to melt the chocolate chips and the butter in the microwave about 15-second intervals, and then you're going to mix it up really well. And the direction says to drizzle the chocolate onto the cookies using a spoon. I have never been good at this, so finally I said forget it. I got a little sandwich bag. I put the chocolate in that. I cut a very teeny tiny hole in the corner, and I used it like it's a piping, like an icing piping bag, and it was so much easier. So definitely, if you're going to do this, if you're going to make these, just go ahead and put that chocolate into a Ziploc bag. It is a little warm, so just be careful, but put it in a Ziploc bag and make life easier on yourself. And that's it. That's all you have to do to these cookies. They're no bake, very quick and easy. I will say I feel like they had too much sugar in them. I know that's crazy, right? Too much sugar. Is that real? Is that even a thing? But I do feel like you could definitely get away with using a lot less sugar. I mean, that had 2 cups of sugar in it. And I feel like whenever you're eating it, it's very granular, like you're eating pure sugar. They're good, they're delicious, but I do feel like you could reduce the sugar to possibly a cup of sugar. So if I do make these again, I will definitely reduce the amount of sugar in them, because honestly, with the peanut butter and the vanilla, you don't need all that sugar. Once I was finished putting the chocolate on, I went ahead and put mine in the freezer so that they would set up quickly. You could definitely freeze these if you wanted to make a big batch at once. You could freeze these, and then whenever you have company or something, you could take out a few and eat them just a few at a time. Hey guys, welcome back to day 7 of 12 days of Christmas cookies. Today we're going to be making eggnog cookies. What you will need is 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I just have it all in the same bowl. And then 1 1/4 cups of granulated white sugar, 3/4 cups of salted butter, 1/2 cup of eggnog, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 large egg yolks. You'll also need a little extra nutmeg to sprinkle on top of the cookies before you bake them. And you're going to preheat the oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And then in a small bowl, you're going to whisk the dry ingredients together, the flour, baking powder, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And right here, I made a mistake. I put the sugar in as well. What you're supposed to do in a large bowl, use an electric mixer to combine the sugar and butter. And then you would add in all of the rest of the ingredients. So don't do what I did. I just got ahead of myself. I read like the first line, it said whisk the dry ingredients together. So that's what I did. This was my first time making these cookies, so I'm not sure if that really made a big difference. I'm going to have to try to make them again and not make that mistake. So now I'm putting my butter into a bigger bowl, and I do go ahead and just use the mixer just to kind of cream it a little bit. And I also go ahead and add in the egg yolks, the vanilla extract, and the eggnog, and then mix that up really well. Now you want to add in the dry ingredients and beat at a low speed just until it's blended. And then you're going to drop by the tablespoonfuls onto an ungreased baking sheet about 1 inch apart and sprinkle lightly with additional nutmeg. And I just used my little cookie scoop. It makes it go so much quicker and easier than using like a regular tablespoon. And I will have this recipe linked down in the description so you can check that out. And also, if you're interested in like my USA pan or the cookie scoop, I do have those linked in my Amazon store if you want to look at that. You want to bake the cookies for about 18 to 19 minutes or until the bottoms turn a light brown, and then you're just going to cool those down on wire racks. Back to day 8 of 12 days of Christmas cookies. Today we're going to be having Keto Pecan Snowball cookies. What you're going to need is 10 tablespoons of fine ground almond flour, 1 cup of chopped pecans, 1/4 cup of granulated erythritol, and I'm using the Swerve brand, 7 tablespoons of butter softened, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 pinch of salt, and powdered erythritol, which I'm using Swerve. You first want to mix all of the ingredients together except for the butter.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new, 'cause I missed you.
Next, you're going to add in the softened butter to the flour mixture and knead it with your hands until you get a good, relatively smooth dough. If it's a little bit crumbly, that's okay because the pecans will disrupt the dough. After you do all of that, then you want to chill the dough for 30 minutes in the refrigerator.
So I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be?
After the dough has been chilling for about 20 minutes, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And then after it's been 30 minutes, you want to form the dough into about 1-inch balls. And you're going to put those onto a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper and bake in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. But you do want to keep a close eye on them because the almond flour can burn faster than wheat flour. So just keep a check on them. I set my timer for 10 minutes, and then after that I just kept an eye on them and would add a minute and until they became like golden brown on the top. You want to let the cookies cool down just a little bit once they've baked, and but while they're still warm but not hot, you want to roll them in the powdered erythritol and then let them cool down completely before serving them. And let me tell you, these were really good. My girls loved them. The powdered erythritol or swerve does have kind of a cooling taste, if you will. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it does taste cool, like your mouth is cool, like it's, I don't know, it's really hard to explain. But they're very, very good. Welcome back to day 9 of 12 Days of Christmas. Today's recipe is from the Pioneer Woman Cooks Year of Holidays recipes. I love this cookbook. It is amazing. This is my first cookbook I've ever seen of hers. I actually checked this book out from the local library. What you're going to need for this recipe is 1 cup of butter or 2 sticks, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1 egg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, half a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, which I have it here in the flour, a large handful of both red and green peppermints, and 4 ounces or 4 squares of almond bark or white baking chocolate. The first thing you're going to do is add the butter and powdered sugar to the bowl of an electric mixer fitted with the paddle attachment. I do not have a stand mixer, so I will be using just a hand mixer. You're going to beat that together until it's nice and smooth, and then you're going to mix in the egg and the vanilla. Because I'm using a hand mixer and not something with a paddle like the stand mixers have, I'm going to go ahead and use a spatula and scrape down the sides just to make sure that everything gets mixed together really well. It's all well incorporated. Once I do that, you're going to then add in the cocoa powder, flour, and the salt and mix that just until the dough comes together. And this is what it looks like when it's all mixed together. So now you're going to take a piece of plastic wrap and press it down on the surface of the dough and refrigerate it for a couple of hours. While the dough is in the refrigerator chilling, you're going to put your mince into a Ziploc bag and you're going to crush them. You want to get them crushed really well. And you can do separate, all of the green in one bag, all of the red in one bag. But I didn't want to do it that way. I just put them all in one bag and crushed them all up at the same time. After the dough has chilled for a couple of hours, you're then going to make balls, probably about a 1-inch ball, and then you're going to flatten it out onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. The direction says to use the bottom of a coffee mug or a glass to flatten them out, but I don't feel like dirtying up another dish, so I actually just flatten them out with my hands or the palm of my hand, and that worked just fine. Before you start to roll out the balls, you want to preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you're going to bake the cookies for 7 to 9 minutes or until just set. You're going to remove them from the oven, and you want to let them cool completely. While the cookies are cooling, you're going to go ahead and melt your almond bark in a double boiler, or you can do it in a microwave safe bowl, which is what I did, and you want to stir it until it's smooth, and you can see here it's already melted. You're then going to take your cookie and dip it halfway down into the almond bark, and I tried to dip the cookie down into the peppermint candies, but the candies are so sticky. I just went ahead and started putting them onto the parchment paper and then getting a little handful of the peppermint candies and sprinkling them onto the cookies. You want to store these in an airtight container, or you can freeze them in storage bags for up to 3 months. These are really good. The girls like them, but I will tell you they are very rich. The chocolate cookie part is very, very rich. So if you're not a big chocolate fan, You probably will not like these. I also want to say that I love this cookbook. It has detailed pictures, detailed instructions, and I don't know if all of her cookbooks are like this, but I really like this one. I've already been reading it and looking at other recipes that I want to try, and hopefully I can do that before I have to return it to the library. If you guys are cooks or you like to bake like I do, and you have a love for cookbooks, then check out the cookbook section at your local library. Our library has tons and tons of cookbooks, so I know that I will definitely be back to look at other cookbooks and check more cookbooks out. I hope you guys like this video. We are dwindling down to the 12th day of Christmas cookies. Only 3 more days to go. Welcome back to day 10 of the 12 days of Christmas cookies. Today we're making molasses cookies. What you're going to need is 2 cups all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon ground allspice, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You'll also need half a cup of unsalted butter, room temperature, 1/4 cup of shortening, room temperature, and I do not have any shortening, and I didn't want to buy any just for one recipe, so you can substitute shortening with extra butter. So that's what I'm doing, is just using a 1/4 cup of extra butter at room temperature. You'll also need half a cup of white sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, 1 egg, a 1/4 cup of molasses, 1 tablespoon of corn syrup, and then you'll need coarse decorating sugar for coating. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees and then line the bottom of a cookie sheet with parchment paper. So the first thing you're going to do in a medium-sized bowl is combine the flour, baking soda, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, allspice, and salt, which I already had all together, and you're going to whisk all of those ingredients together and then set that to the side. Then in a large bowl, you're going to cream together the butter, shortening, which I'm using extra butter, white sugar, and brown sugar until it's light and fluffy. I'm just using a spatula to scrape down the sides so that all the ingredients will get mixed together. You're next going to add in an egg, molasses, and the corn syrup, and then beat that until it's fully combined. I want to mention that this recipe is from a gentleman on Instagram. I stumbled upon his account by accident, and I am so glad that I did. His name is Joshua SNYDER, so definitely check him out. I will have the link down in the description for this recipe, and I will put down his link for his Instagram account, which is Joshua SNYDER, and then his other one, I cannot remember the name of it, but I'll have those links down in the description. Next, you want to add in the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and mix it so that everything is mixed very well, and the dough will be a little bit tacky filling. Next, you're going to place the coarse sugar in a small shallow bowl, and using a cookie scoop, you're going to scoop the dough out and gently form a 1.5 inch to 2 inch size ball. And you can grease your hands with cooking spray to reduce the stickiness. I didn't have to do that, it was just fine. And then you're going to take that dough ball and roll it in the coarse sugar, and then place it on the parchment lined cookie sheet about 2 to 3 inches apart. And you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for approximately 9 to 11 minutes. I set my timer at 10 minutes, and then I just keep checking it and adding a minute when I needed to. And in between that time, you're going to want to rotate the cookie sheet halfway. Once the cookies are done, you're going to let them cool on the cookie sheet for 1 to 2 minutes before you transfer them to the wire rack to cool completely. Back to day 11 of the 12 days of Christmas cookies. Today we are making low carb raspberry cheesecake cookies. For the raspberry filling, you're going to need half a package of raspberries, 3 ounces or 2/3 cup. Also 1.5 tablespoons of powdered erythritol, and I'm using the Swerve brand. For the cream cheese filling, you're going to need 4 ounces of cream cheese softened, 2 tablespoons of powdered erythritol, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, half of a large egg, and what you'll do is whisk that whole egg and use half of that, or about 1.5 tablespoons. For the cookies, you're going to need 1/4 cup of butter softened, 1 ounce of cream cheese softened, half a cup of erythritol, half a large egg, use the remaining whisked egg from the filling, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2.5 cups of blanched almond flour. The first thing you're going to do is make the raspberry filling. You want to puree the raspberries and the powdered erythritol in a blender, and I'm just using the cup part on my Ninja instead of getting the whole big bowl and everything out. Once you have that pureed, you're then going to press the liquid through a fine mesh sieve over a small saucepan. The spatula was working okay. I probably should have used a spoon or something, but I decided to stop using the spatula and just use my hand. Sometimes you just got to get in there with your hands. So you're going to bring the raspberry sauce to a gentle simmer, and you want to simmer the sauce gently over low heat for about 3 to 5 minutes until the volume is reduced by about 1/3. And then you're going to remove that and allow it to cool to room temperature. While that is cooling, you're going to start making your cream cheese filling. And to do that, you're going to use a hand mixer, or you can use a stand mixer. Beat the cream cheese, the powdered erythritol, and the egg together until it's smooth. And you're going to beat in the vanilla. And then set that to the side. And now it's time to make the cookies. So you're going to start out by preheating the oven to 350 degrees and line a large cookie sheet with parchment paper. You can use a hand mixer or a stand mixer again to beat together the butter, cream cheese, erythritol until it's fluffy and light in color, and then you want to beat in the vanilla extract and the remaining egg. When you start to beat in the almond flour, you want to do it half a cup at a time. The dough is going to be dense and a little bit crumbly, but once you start to mash it together or press it together, it should stick. You want to use a medium cookie scoop to scoop the balls of dough onto the cookie sheets, and whenever you are scooping it out, you want to make sure that you level the dough flat against the scoop. Once you have all of the cookie balls out, you're going to take a rounded teaspoon size measuring spoon, take the back of it and mash it down the center of the cookie ball like I did here. If there's large cracks that forms, just go ahead and push it back together and form a round cookie again. Smaller cracks are okay, but you don't want the bigger ones. So you're going to do that on all of the cookie dough balls. Now it's time to add in the cream cheese mixture, and you're going to use just a small spoon to dollop the cream cheese into each cookie well. And you want it to be full, but not quite all the way full. And again, I just use my finger to go ahead and kind of spread it around in the well just to make sure it's even. Now it's time to add the raspberry filling, so you want to use an even smaller spoon. I think I was using like a 1/4 teaspoon here. You're going to put the raspberry puree onto the center of each cookie and then use a toothpick to swirl it into the cream cheese. When I was looking at this recipe, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be so hard, but I was up for the challenge. I do like to challenge myself sometimes when I'm making new recipes. You guys, it was really easy. It wasn't that hard at all. I would not know that this was keto. If someone just gave it to me, I would not have any clue that it was keto. It is really good. Isabella came home from school and she tasted one and was like, oh my goodness, I love these. And she doesn't even care for cheesecake. That is how good these raspberry cheesecake cookies are. So make sure you try them. If you do, tag me in your pictures over on Instagram and let me know what you guys are making. Hey guys, welcome back to Living in the Mom Lane, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Mandy. We made it. We made it through the 12 days. Today is the 12th day of Christmas cookies. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. Don't forget it was a collaboration with Melissa from Melissa's Kitchen Table. So if you will, after you watch this video, head over and watch her last video for the 12 days of Christmas cookies. There will be a playlist link down in the description. So if you missed any of the videos, no worries. You can click on that playlist link and watch all the videos through. Did you make any of these cookies? If you did, which ones did you make and did you like it? Or do you plan on making them later? If so, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Welcome back to day 12. For our final cookie, we are making hot chocolate cookie cups. The recipe calls for is a package of Pillsbury sugar cookie dough. I did not want to have to go out and buy more cookies. Plus, I had these fundraiser cookies out in the freezer, so I am using Snickerdoodle Cookies for this. You also need 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream, 2 tablespoons of hot chocolate mix, 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 12 mini pretzels, and when we eat these, we probably won't eat the pretzel because I grabbed the wrong ones and got cheddar pretzels, which those are pretty good. You also need 1 cup of jet puffed mallow bits, but they didn't have the itty bitty tiny ones, so I did have to just get the miniature ones. And then you also need 1/2 cup of white chocolate chips, which I didn't want to have to open up a bag of white chocolate chips because I already had the almond bark opened, so I'm just using the almond bark. The Snickerdoodle cookies were frozen, so I put them out in the cookie pan or the muffin pan so they can come to room temperature so I can form them into dough balls. You want to spray your muffin pan with cooking spray, and I also went a step further and rolled the cookie dough into some granulated sugar to keep them from sticking to the pan. Now, I did this step and it was kind of a fail, but kind of not a fail. So you can do it if you want. I would suggest not doing it though. What I did was I made the cookie dough into a ball and then I put it into the muffin tin, and then I kind of went ahead and formed it into a cup. not thinking that the cookies were going to expand whenever they bake. So by the time they were done baking, they had expanded to be pretty big cookies. So I wouldn't do that. This is what they look like all completed, and this is what they look like when they came out of the oven. So I just used this little Pampered Chef tool and pushed it down into the center of the cookie to make the well of the cookie. You want to bake the cookies in a 375-degree oven and bake for about 12 to 14 minutes. You want to let them completely cool before you take them out of the muffin pan. So I've already trimmed a few of them to get the cup shape, but as you can see, it had like a big lip around the top, and I could have left them like this, but it didn't really look like an actual coffee cup, and that's what we're going for, is a coffee cup, because when you put the ganache in, it's supposed to look like a cup of hot chocolate. So I had to go and trim all that excess off of the cookies. And don't throw it out, though. You can use that for something else, or just let your kids eat on it throughout the day. But after I trimmed the excess off the top of it, I kind of just used my thumb and pushed down a little bit to make the cup a little bit deeper. So now we're going to make the chocolate ganache, and you're going to bring the heavy whipping cream to a boil. And then you're going to pour in the 2 tablespoons of hot cocoa mix. And you want to mix that up really good, stir it very well. And then once that's all stirred and there's no clumps, you're going to pour the hot cream over the semi-sweet chocolate chips. And you want to let it sit there for about 3 minutes. While that is melting, I'm going to go ahead and melt the almond bark in the microwave. And my bowl is actually a little too small for me to really mix the ganache up, so I'm going to have to transfer it to a larger bowl so I don't make a huge mess. So you want to mix this up really well so it's nice and smooth. Now you're going to take the chocolate ganache and pour it down into your little cookie cups. You don't want to get it too full, just to the top of the cup. To apply the pretzels, what you do is break off the little rounded part of the pretzel and then dip it down into your white chocolate or almond bark, which is what I'm using, and then you will stick that on the side. That is going to be your coffee cup handle. And you may have to hold it in place just for a few seconds for it to kind of set. And then you want to add in your marshmallows. And like I said, they didn't have the teeny tiny ones, so I'm having to use just miniature ones, but it worked. They're still really cute. And actually, you're supposed to do the pretzel first, then the ganache, then the marshmallows. So do it in the order of the actual recipe. I really like how these turned out. I think they are just absolutely adorable. And they taste really good. The chocolate, the ganache is kind of rich tasting, but it is so good. And you do want to store these in the refrigerator. And that's a wrap for the 12 days of Christmas cookies.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed watching it all again and putting the videos together. It was very much fun. So don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.